Hello, 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 hello. All right. All right. Welcome back, Hoot Heads. You made it to another episode of Shoot the Hoot Raw, where the emails are sketchy, but the training is sharp. Today's episode is one I've been itching to talk about because we're diving into AttackPhish, CyberHoot's way of turning those suspicious emails into teachable, even uplifting moments. So when I say AttackPhish, just think about those traditional phishing emails you get. That's CyberHoot's approach. We call it AttackPhish. So forget the fear, forget the finger pointing. We're flipping the script on traditional phishing tests and making caught you moments a thing of the past. This isn't about gotcha, it's about guidance. It's not about punishment, it's about progress. So if you've ever wished your users to learn from real fish without spiraling into shame, buckle up, you're in the right nest. Let's roll. All right, today's flight is cleared for takeoff. Destination, smarter clits, safe RIN boxes, and a few surprises along the way. Here's what we've got on the radar. Our 5-minute rant, training in the inbox. Good idea or inbox insanity? We're starting with a spicy dive into whether email-based training helps or hurts, and why context is everything. Unless Carl's involved, then context is optional. Next is our Cyberhoot Nerd Update. We have some fishy fixes and some email education email education enhancements. We've got to update the hots out from Dev. Dev has given us everything they've got, smoother email flows, smarter assignments, and maybe even a bug or two that's not sleeping with the recycle bin. So next we have our open mic, Q&A. Send us your sketchy situations. You got a suspicious email? Confusing user question? So cybersecurity mean that you need validated? Drop it in the chat. No question is too weird or too Carl. Lastly, our hoot-worthy horror story, the reply all that trained a whole company. Yes, it happened. Yes, it was glorious. Yes, it was a training moment nobody asked for, but everybody learned from. So buckle up, grab your coffee, and let's fly straight to another episode of Shoot the Hoot Raw. Let's be real. Phishing is still the number one way attackers sneak into businesses. In fact, 90% of cyber attacks start with a phishing email. 90%. So if you're not doing phishing training and testing, you're missing the ball. So why are we still training people like it's 2005 with boring PDFs and surprising quizzes after the damage is done, or 45-minute, hour-long videos for them to watch? Training in the inbox where the danger actually lives is like teaching someone to drive in traffic, not just with cones in a parking lot. It's real world, it's relevant, and it's way more effective. We got to do it in the inbox. But do it wrong, random fake emails, no coaching, and it turns into inbox insanity. Confusion, blame, and that awkward, surprise, you failed moment. We'd never teach someone fire safety by lighting the couch on fire and walking away, would you? Let's guide them, not gaslight them. Time to swap the shame for smart clicks. Let's talk about those old school phishing simulations. You know the ones where Carl clicks a fake UPS email and ends up on the wall of shame. According to Doodle's security blog in May of 24, traditional phishing tests are fundamentally flawed. They're often out of context, unpredictable, and do a better job triggering fear than actually teaching skills. Fast forward to Black Hat 2025, where researchers revealed that legacy phishing tests only improved the user behavior by 1.7% over time. 1.7%. That's ridiculous. That's basically the same as asking Carl to read a cybersecurity memo and hoping it sticks between his coffee sips. The problem? Users aren't trained to recognize real threats. Instead, just to dodge the company test. This kind of approach doesn't build confidence, it builds paranoia. And in a real attack, you don't need scared employees, you need skilled ones. That's where Hootfish and AttackPhish flip the script. More on that next. So we've seen how traditional phishing tests can fall flat, stressing out employees, creating distrust, and often doing more harm than good. That's where Hootfish and AttackPhish flip the script. Instead of the aha, gotcha moments, we got users with empathy, reinforce with what to look for, and turn every click or non-click into a teachable moment. It's not about punishing mistakes, not anymore, folks. It's about building click smart confidence. And yes, we'll show you how it works. It's a demo time. All right, we'll remove this from the screen. We'll add this to the screen. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll go full mode there. All right. So let's talk about the AttackPhish. We talked about HootPhish last week. You'll see on the left-hand side, we have our power-ups. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. We have our power-ups over here. You want to make sure that that the HootPhish and AttackPhish are definitely enabled. HootPhish we talked about last week. If you missed that episode, go back, watch last week's episode. We jumped through the HootPhish and the benefits of that. This week is AttackPhish. If you don't see AttackPhish over here or HootPhish, all you have to do is go to the view all of your power-ups. Find that power-up in the platform here. Click to enable it. It'll turn on and it'll show up here. Now at this level, you can control and manage all of your AttackPhish from the top level right here. Now, the first thing you want to do before you send out any AttackPhish or schedule any is you want to make sure you can get an AttackPhish through. Now, our industry is a lot better today at blocking the bad stuff, but they're not perfect at it. There's no silver bullet. There's not one technology you can put in place that goes, oh, look, we're going to block all the bad stuff that comes through. You're safe with this. No, we still have to train our users. So in order to get our AttackPhish through, and many providers, is you have to set up whitelisting. You have to allow these things through, or some sort of direct injection. So what you can do here is this send a test AttackPhish. Click on this guy. Now, when you click on this, you can say, hey, I want to start testing this out. First thing you can do is you can actually send instructions to your team. You can say, look, our support team, we're going to be getting phishing tests from CyberSecurity. Put in their email address, support@mycompany.com. Hit that send button and start sending instructions to them how to make sure they whitelist CyberSecurity for your environment. Once that's done, say who you want to go to. Maybe I'll send a test to myself. And then from there, I'm going to select the template. Maybe I'll go with the Amazon payment failure, or excuse me, Apple payment failure. And then from there, I'll send my AttackPhish, right? Now, once I send my AttackPhish, it's going to go out. And once that goes out, I'm going to do something in my inbox. It's going to say, hey, look, Apple, your payment failed. Update your payment here. So I click on that. Now land on, of course, my Apple login page. Now, listen, we can't ever really use Apple's logos inside of here or Microsoft's logos or anything like that. You know why? Because Google will say, you're impersonating Apple. You're impersonating Microsoft. You can't do that. So we put a page that looks kind of like it, a little bit of a test. And here, I'm going to come through. I clicked on the link now, so I'm already at this point. Now I'm going to put in my credentials. So I'm going to log in to fix my payment problems. So I hit here, I hit sign in, and boo, bam, I've been phished. Please don't panic. I almost was. This is only a test. This is a simulated phishing email sent from our PowerUp demo. Now, PowerUp demo, that's our company, the test bots, but it would show your company name. It tells a little bit about this, et cetera, right? And what happens. It's a team effort. Thank you for participating. Now you might say, well, that's not really good, Chuck. You're still kind of shaming people. You've been phished, right? But this is about the test fish. And what happens at this point is all about what happens before they actually get that fish. Right? So let's go back to it over here. That was just a test to make sure, are things getting through to our email properly? Are we whitelisting properly? Can they get the emails? Right? Now, once that's done, you can turn around and say, all right, I want to enable the AttackPhish. So you can enable AttackPhish across all your tenants, whether it be locations, departments, schools, or customers. You select the tenants that you want to assign it to. Maybe I'll assign it to all these guys. I want it to start. Now, we recommend if these tenants just started, we recommend that you put it out a few months, give them 3, 4, 5 months of HootPhish training where we actually teach them the positive stuff, and then do this actual test after that. So maybe we'll push it out a few months. Now I'm actually going to do this because I don't want to actually send this out in my environment. I want to go out twice a year, and I want to train on everything. Now I can also have a bunch of advanced settings here. Now that fish page you saw here, hey, you got fish kind of thing, we can actually move around that and put your own, if you have your own hosted phishing page you want to put in with different copy, et cetera on it, you can put that URL in there. By default, we send a unique email per user, or you can say, I want the same email for all users. You might say, well, Chuck, why the same email for all users? Do you really want to do that? Well, we did have that request from a customer, and it made sense. They wanted to make their support desk, the help desk aware that if they got an email, and it's a fish, they could contact the support desk. The support desk would know, yes, this was the phishing test we put out this month. Of course, you can change some of the times that the emails go out and how many days before the campaign ends. Now, this auto-assigned training, this is something that's important. Now, all the places that a lot of providers out there will say, hey, you failed a phish test, click this, now you have to watch this video. Now, we do the video as well. It's like a 3 to 4 minute video on phishing, but we do even more than that. Once you actually have that, we assign the video just for a little bit of a touch-up. And then we also assign that employee the HootPhish that matches the AttackPhish they just clicked on. That way they have to walk through the exact same thing they saw in their email, but they're coached through it. They're shown right and wrong. They can get through that thing, get an actual 100% on that, and feel a lot better about it. Now, I can also notify my support team if I want to. I can say, hey, look, support, just so you know, phishing is going to be going out. I'm going to send them an email 4 days before and say, look, support at cyberhoot.com, expect this to be coming in, right? Or to send it to specific participants. So a lot of power and functionality here. You can actually set this up. And once you set this up and let it run, it'll run forever until you actually say stop. Now, I'm not actually going to enable this now, but it's that simple to set it up. Now, like I said, once you have it set up, I'll just hop into one of these ones here, kind of show you the things that happens. So what you'll see in some of the results here is you'll see that we give you a click rate, a submission rate, the risk index. You can read about what the risk index is and the vulnerability scores. I think the first two are pretty obvious. You can read about those last two. We show you how many emails we actually sent out. What did the user do? Email was sent, open. Did they click on the link, submit data, etc. Now, down here is that auto-assigned trainings. Now, if you set to auto-assigned trainings, it would show in here what users were assigned what trainings, and you'd be able to track that training right here. And yes, this training, just like clicking on a phishing test that went in their inbox, counts for points, right? So, the auto-assigned trainings, it counts towards their Hoot score, their cyber score. So you want to make sure that, I think it's a really good idea to turn these auto-assigned trainings on, get it out there, get people learning, right? So once that's done, that goes out there. Now, here's the thing. If a user clicks on a phishing test, then boom, we do deduct some points from their Hoot score. It's like they end up getting instead of like 100 on this test for not doing anything, you get like a 50, right? And that 50 is just their score on this test. Now, over the 2 or 3 months, what will happen is that weight of 50 against their cyber score is going to decrease in weight over time and eventually trickle off, because as they get better at identifying fish, we don't want to keep penalizing them forever for a fish test they failed previously. So that's the phishing test, right? So, but here's the thing. How do we do this and we do this better? And we're going to hop into this. Now, we talked about the auto-assigning. So this could be negative, right? It can be negative. And I'm going to tell you soon about how to make that more positive. But for now, let's just talk about the auto-assigned trainings. The video just assigned. They're going to watch that. Boom, they're good to go. But what they're actually going to do as well, they will just assign the actual Hoot fish that was part of that. So if I were to hop over to one of the Hoot fish real fast, we'll hop into one of our tenants here. And we'll go to one of the Hoot fish. And pretty much what's going to happen is we're going to assign them the Hoot fish that's associated with it. And we'll just hop into one here. And let's hop, there's an Apple one. Let's hop into the Apple one. So we'll simulate that training. So what your user would just assign, they'll get an email in their inbox that says, hey, listen, you've been assigned this, the Hoot fish that was associated with the AttackPhish that you just experienced. All right. It tells us we're going to test you on the 7 indicators, and let's get started. Now you see here that simulation, of course, won't be there for them. It says here, does the sender account feel safe or suspicious? That is appy.com. To me, that's suspicious. Requires attention now. Safe or suspicious. This is trying to get me to excited and react versus respond. That's definitely suspicious. High test. Now, in this simulated environment, my name of my user is actually test user. So it actually knows who I am. Cool. That's actually a safe indicator. Next. Does punctuation, spelling, and grammar here be a problem? So you must now be set up with 2-factor authentication to help improve, the security of your Apple account. Oh, yeah, this is definitely suspicious. Next, does link appear safe or suspicious? Apple ID, apple.com, appy.com. Oh, yeah, look at that. Even though it says apple.com there, it almost got me because it actually, when you hover over it, it says appy. So don't be fooled by what you see there. You got to hover over that link. This is definitely suspicious. Then down here, does it appear safe, calm, and informative, or urgent, emotionally charged? 2 factors. Account now, or you will be locked or hacked. Oh, it's trying to scare me. Suspicious. All right. Now I'm going to submit. I got my 100%. I feel so much better about failing that phishing test. Boom, night and day. And just who also feels better? The IT administrator or the company owner who knows that, yeah, you slipped on a phishing test. No worries. You got the Hoot fish that backs it up. You got a great score on that. You've been trained, and they feel better about it. You feel better about it. No tricks, no surprises, right? So that's how we can use that Hoot fish and AttackPhish together and allow them to turn into a much more positive experience. But there's more. It's not just about what we can provide. It's also how you present it, right? It's like anything else. You can tell a story to someone, and it's all about how you present the story and what it actually means. So you can present the story in a negative way or in a positive way. So let's hop back over to our slides real fast. I'm going to remove this go back to our slides. Let's hop into the next pieces of this. So one thing I didn't mention was coming soon. We do have this brand new report fish button feature and functionality coming out. It's going to be great. It's going to come out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Users will be able to report phishing emails, earn points for doing the right thing, and then have those suspicious messages forwarded directly to the support team. It's education plus the escalation minus all the drama. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be great. If they did a phishing test, they'll get points. If they successfully identify a phishing test, boom, that was successful. We got it. Or if they send one to us and we didn't send it out, it could be a real fish. We'll forward it on to your support team so they know that you reported it for them. So now, before we all started handing out gold stars for phishing quizzes, let's talk timing. Let's talk presentation. Because if you're testing users before teaching them, it's not a training program like in Star Wars. It's a trap. So let's look at the next phase of this. All right, this is important. Very, very important. We talked about presentation. So let's clear something up. AttackPhish isn't training. It's not training. It's the final exam after months of training. But what do a lot of teams do? They drop the exam on day one before employees even know what a phishing email is. That's like failing someone for not knowing Spanish on the first day of Spanish class. It's not fair. It's not effective. HootPhish is the class. AttackPhish is the capstone test. So let's stop shaming employees who are willing to learn and give them time to build real skills with guided, positive practice. Give them the class before the test? Unless you're into mutinies and passive-aggressive email signatures, I wouldn't do that. So here's our golden rule. Train first, test later. Give your team a few months of guided practice with HootPhish, building their skills, their confidence, their click sense. Then introduce AttackPhish as a friendly challenge, not a trap. We recommend sending out a quick heads-up email, letting folks know we're putting your training to the test. Sometime this month, you'll receive a simulated phishing email. Don't stress, whether you spot it or not, this helps us see how far we've come together. It's not about catching clicks. It's about measuring real progress and reinforcing a culture of learning, not fear. So before we hand out any more surprise quizzes, let's check in on what actually got done this week. Code commits, feature flips, and some phishing-friendly improvements. It's time for our nerd update. Okay, all right, Hoosters. It's time to get into the section of the show we like to call Meanwhile in Devland. Our developers have been busy, fueled by caffeine, keyboard shortcuts, and the occasional existential crisis, and we've got the goods to prove it. Let's break it down. Fixes and features. First up, we enforce the send train on weekdays only option in our automation because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants a phishing reminder while deep in Saturday pancake mode. Love that syrup. The outstanding assignments report got a glow up too. It now shows policy type and lets you update due dates without summoning dark SQL magic. Emails now actually show your customer name when branding overrides are turned on. Who knew that people like seeing their own company's name? Feels a little bit comfortable, right? Test AttackPhish just leveled up. Now you can select the template and preview it before sending. No more mystery phishing. Oh, and we added a phishing difficulty setting when creating users in autopilot and in the API. So you want to start car off easy? We got you. And finally, we squashed a pesky URL decoding bug for off links because when someone's trying to log in, they shouldn't feel like they're solving the Enigma code. So yeah, we've been busy, and your platform is now smarter, smoother, just a little sassier. And now we turn the mic over to you. You got a question about phishing, features, or what exactly ZAC stands for if you've seen that? Drop it in the chat. The weirder, the better. Let's open the floor to your Q's and my hopefully not too broken A's. So let's go. All right, let's see what we got here. Boom. All right, the mic is open, and today we're fishing for questions, legally and ethically, of course. You got a burning question about AttackPhish? Curious how MSPs are using it to drive better engagement? Maybe you just want to know how many suspicious emails Carl flagged last month by replying unsubscribe. Now's your time to shine. Drop your questions in the chat. The weirder, the better. Remember, if you're watching this on replay, shoot your questions to ShootTheHoot@cyberhoot.com. We'll see them into a future episode. All right, so what questions do we have? Boom, boom. All right, first question here. We'll go with this first one. So, should we warn employees before sending an AttackPhish campaign? Honestly, yes. Yes. And not just because Carl cries every time he fails. Letting employees know a fish test is coming helps reduce anxiety, and it frames it as a learning opportunity. Bonus points if you turn it into a friendly competition. The top fish catchers leaderboard, anyone? Why not? Make it more fun. Let them know it's coming. It's not a trick, it's a test. And the test helps us see how far we've come. All right, next question. What happens if someone doesn't click? Do they still get the hoot fish training? Nope, not automatically. So it's up to you. By default, we recommend assigning hoot fish only to those who clicked or submitted data. But if you want everyone to level up, you should assign the training to all users, clickers and non-clickers alike. Use it as a teachable moment for the whole team. All right, other questions? Boom. Can I see who clicked and track performance over time? Absolutely, you betcha. The AttackPhish report shows you who clicked, who passed, who may need some additional cyber coaching. It's all there. But don't use it as a wall of shame. Instead, use it as your mission briefing to guide future training. So, and also note in the coming 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have that report fish feature. And when they report that fish in and they correctly identify it, we'll have this new, fishing reported checkbox in there as well for them to show who actually not only saw it, but actually knew it was a fish and reported it. So, all right, so we fished, we fixed, and we fielded your questions. But now it's time for a cautionary tale, straight from the inbox of doom. Buckle up for this hoot worthy horror story we like to call the reply all that trained the whole company. So it started as these things often do, with an untrained employee. For anonymizing reasons, we'll call him Carl. So Carl got a phishing email. Literally it came from the CEO. It said, "Hey, can you grab me some Apple gift cards for our client meeting? Urgent." And Carl, bless his helpful heart, he replied, but not just to the sender, he replied all. He hit reply all. That email, fixes a $3 bill, was now in the inbox of every single employee. Within minutes, people started replying. Some flagged it as suspicious. Some joked about gift cards being a weird client gift. And one poor soul actually offered to buy them. The IT team, well, they were already halfway through popcorn and a nervous breakdown. But here's the twist. The chaos became an unexpected training moment. The security team jumped in, used a live example as a teaching opportunity, and even followed up with a hootfish simulation on CEO impersonation attacks. It wasn't planned. It definitely wasn't pretty, but it trained everybody, all thanks to Carl's famous reply all reflex. Moral of the story, reply all might be a mistake, but with the right follow-up, it can also be a masterpiece. Just don't tell Carl that because he's still blushing. In case you haven't figured it out, this was a fictional story, put together for teaching purposes, but it was inspired by real events that our VSISO team actually experienced. Well, that's a wrap on our clickbait-free Teach, Don't Punish tour of AttackPhish and its friendlier, wiser cousin, Hootfish. We explored how traditional phishing test often fails. We saw how the flip the script with guided learning. We reminded Carl that reply all is not a cybersecurity strategy, but most importantly, we made the case that you don't start a class by handing out the final exam. AttackPhish isn't training, it's the test. And when you lead with that test before teaching a thing, you're not educating, you're ambushing. So flip the order. Start with empathy. Build confidence. When your users ace the exam 6 months in, they actually know why. So moving forward, next week on Shoot the Hoot Raw, we're diving deep into the shadows with Into the Shadows, the power-up that exposes dark web leaks. It's not just spooky, it's real. We'll show you how the dark web power-up can help uncover exposed credentials, alert users, and kickstart action, all without the doom and gloom drama. So bring your curiosity, maybe your old MySpace password. It's starting to get dark. Until then, laugh, learn, and hoot up. Hoot up!